The views and opinions of the Nissan Nation podcast are simply that. They are views and opinions of its guests or hosts. They do not reflect Nissan corporate or otherwise. Now, a DRB and KGB media presentation, the Nissan Nation podcast. Hit it, Kelly.
Recorded live, coast to coast, it's the Nissan Nation podcast. From camping, racing, and all points in between. The NNP is your Nissan Nation podcast. Now start your engines and welcome in your hosts, David, Danny, and Holden.
What is going on, Nissan Nation? From all things Nissan here in Middle Tennessee to the ATL, this is your Nissan Nation podcast. What's up, Holden?
Nothing much, Dave. What's up with you?
Oh man, another day, another penny, buddy. How's the world of Nissan treating you?
Things are on the up and up. Things are slowly but surely kind of turning around. So, glimmers of hope. Got some kicks in, so kind of excited about that. Cool little car. It's just starting out, but is sparking on some grassroots attention. So that's very promising for me.
Well, are you kicking those cars out the showroom doors?
We're trying to. We sold 2 so far. Nothing crazy yet. We're still waiting. We're supposed to be getting a red one with a black roof and then the gray with the orange roof. So kind of excited just to see those things in person, kind of check them out. So
is that part of their color studio thing they're doing? Or, I mean, I know they're doing different color roofs, but...
Well, it's just the roofs, but yeah, you can add the color studio. So if you want your door handles and mirror caps to match your roof, just something fun. I think it's going to be fun. It's one of the most recent cars that Nissan's come out with that I'm actually pretty excited about. I think you're seeing it somewhat.
You've done a total 180 on this car from me, man, because early on you were like, I don't know about this car, man. And
part of that is I'm still not completely sold on the car. Like for me, I wouldn't want one. But when something you got to do as a salesman, sometimes you got to look at the market. And I cannot tell you how many of these Subaru Crosstracks I see all the time. So I think the Kicks is going to kind of advertise to those people. Also, the Kia Soul is another one they're really trying to go after. So if you pay attention, especially with Subaru, the Crosstrack's a car that they kind of fell into. They did not expect... If you ever have time, Google it. They did not expect that car to do numbers like it's done. And especially in my market, it's a very high-performing car along with the Kia Soul. So I think there's some opportunity to conquest some customers there.
Well, sir, this is called the Nissan podcast, not the Subaru podcast. So I will do no research on that car.
Well, we're going to conquest the Subaru customers with Nissans and turn those into a Nissan Nation.
Well, if we can get, like they did with Mitsubishi, if we can get Nissan to have them build something for them and then report that the the emissions and stuff are bad so you can take them over, sure, then we'll talk about it.
Exactly.
Man, so you feel like sales are starting to pick up a little bit from the few months that it's been down?
I do. Obviously, your Ultimas are performing very well with some sell down cash that they have. Big savings there, obviously, with them prepping for the 19s. The last thing you want is new cars rolling in when you still have the old ones, so they've done a good job with that. And then fall's coming, so you're getting a lot of 19 Titans supposed to start hitting around September. Obviously, the new Kicks, you can see some of the advertisement they're doing for that. So, yeah, I'm positive. Positive I can be. So still a lot of work to be done, but I think we can do it.
Well, they I've been paying attention to the numbers, and I know that's our people's favorite time of the day, but we won't get into that just yet. But yeah, they it seems like it's slowly a couple percent points coming back up to where it needs to be. But like we've talked about in the past, they're cleaning up a mess that they've that the previous administration sort of handed them, and so we'll leave it at that for right now, man. So obviously Danny's not here tonight. We're I'm itching to talk to him. Danny was on an epic, like 8 or 9 day adventure in his Armada. They were all over the map. So hopefully we'll get to talk to Danny soon about that, man. But any adventures on your path? Me and Kelly recently came back from Windrock, did a video on it, and you can go to our YouTube and find that. But what's anything fun on you? I haven't seen you do off-roading or anything lately.
No, not a whole lot of fun from me. I guess the most exciting thing I've been up to is we got a new executive manager at our dealership. So kind of fun and exciting time for that. We're going to be doing a lot of things here in the future, a lot of exciting things to come. We're pretty much motivated. We're going to be the top Titan dealer in the state of Georgia by next year. So that's pretty much the most exciting thing I've had going on. Really is a lot of work. So I haven't been vacationing and taking trips and everything like I wish I could.
Well, 'tis the season.
It's always fun.
It's beach season, man. I can't believe you're not going to the beach.
Yeah, I know. I wish I was out at the beach. I mean, I need to find out how to hook up with the rest of the Nissan crew so where I could go down to Vero Beach.
Yeah,
check out this Nissan Titan surf camp to segue right into a new. You like that?
It's like we had that prepared, but we really didn't. Nissan.
Shh, don't tell them.
That's
don't
right.
Tell them. It seems more official.
Nissan News is brought to you by our buddy over there at Regal Nissan. If you live in the greater ATL area, give Holden and Bo Scott there a call. And how can I get a hold of you guys over there, man? We never do this. What's the best way?
Well, the website obviously is going to be one of the best ways. RegalAuto.com. Another way is just going to be through the socials. You got Regal Nissan on Facebook and Instagram. And breaking news, starting tonight, I also have Regal_Nissan_Titans, an Instagram page, because we're actually going to be setting up a totally separate truck department. So you come in, you're looking at trucks. You're not going to be talking to a sales guy that maybe he's in a full suit or anything like that. You're going to be talking to a Titan expert.
Do they
maybe
wear
he's wearing jeans and a polo?
Wait,
and
cowboy
just a ball
hats?
cap.
Any cowboy hats or anything?
There could be cowboy hats. We want it to appeal to the everyday working class guy. And some things that I've been talking to customers, some customers don't want to come in and talk to a guy in a suit or a guy with a shirt and tie. Sometimes they just want to talk to an everyday guy. So that's one of the things we're going to set up. So yeah, go give us a follow over there on the socials, especially on that, like I said, Regal Nissan Titans. Help me grow that page. And if you know anyone looking for a Titan, that's what we're really focused on. We're not letting any truck deals slip by us. So if we can crawl, scratch, claw, whatever we can do to put you in a new Titan, that's what we're going to do.
Well, I know that's when I've said it in the past, when our lease is up on this current Titan, that's where it'll be heading down to Cowboy Central there. You got to tell me this though, man. You guys need an award for the top salesman, and they get a big cowboy belt buckle that has the Regal R on it, and that's the prize each month for top salesman, man. I'm telling you, that's $1 million.
Very good.
That's $1 million idea.
I'm here to look for the guy with the belt buckle.
And tell your dad on his new Titan, he needs some Longhorns on the front of that thing, man. Your dad's.
Don't give him any ideas.
I know your dad's truck's looking good though.
Do they make Midnight Edition Longhorns?
Oh, that would be awesome. We need to talk to our inside sources there, and we need to get that done. I mean, if they can offer a lift, they can offer Longhorns, right?
Exactly.
Well, and speaking of, I mean, I know you'd sent out some info. You guys had like killer deals on your Titans right now too.
Yeah, we ran a special, and then this past weekend we were giving away a free Yeti cooler with every purchase of a Titan. That's something we're going to be doing from time to time. Definitely be doing new and interesting, innovative ideas, something to really grow Titan. So like I said, we got a new executive manager, and that's one of his babies. He was one of the top Titan dealers in the state, so he's bringing that enthusiasm over. Obviously, I love it. Huge truck guy myself, so something we're really looking forward to.
Well, it sounds like you guys are fishing for new customers. And speaking of fishing, Nissan's really they did a. I didn't expect this truck to pop out so fast. And I guess the dead of summer, you've got to get all your gear out there, your tackles and your baits, and find them customers. So Nissan come up with what they call the what do they call this? Surf camp.
Surf camp.
Yes, and let's see, Vieiro Beach, Florida. Hopefully I said that right. Sand under the tires, sun setting on the Atlantic Ocean. Nissan today dropped the towel on its ultimate beach-inspired show vehicle, Titan Surf Camp. It off-road tires, rooftop tent, and it's got fishing racks on the front of it, man. What do you think of this truck, Holden?
I know people are going to be like, wait a minute, is this really Holden talking? But I'm going to say I like it. It's a thumbs up for me. And the reason, I'll tell you why before people start freaking out, is they said this is a surf camp vehicle. Guess what? It's a surf camp vehicle. They're not trying to say it's an off-road vehicle, and it's not a true off-road vehicle. This is surf camp. And guess what? There's a surfboard, there's a camp, there's a tent on top, and you can fish. So they built something for a specific purpose. It performs that purpose, so thumbs up for me.
Well, at least they didn't act like they were a group building this one.
Yeah. I mean, I like everything. I pretty much like everything about it. There's nothing really that sticks out to me that's a sore thumb.
I wish they would build the truck in this sky blue, man. Looks great in that color.
Yeah, it's definitely cool, and how they kind of found that color, why they did it that color is, I guess it's a 1971 Datsun Bluebird wagon nicknamed the JNC Surf Patrol that Hot Wheels did. So that's kind of cool how they took something old school like that, did a subtle nod with the wrap. If you Google the little Hot Wheels, like I said, JNC Surf Camp, it is that light blue, has that orange and white and blue type of striping on it. So that's something, I don't know whose idea that was, if it's some guy had that Hot Wheels sitting on his desk and someone said, that'd be really cool to do, but I like it. One thing I'd like to see is some more of the interior pictures. They kind of got the video, but I like sometimes seeing pictures where I can really focus on some different things. But
they don't seem to do a ton on any of these builds. I haven't really seen them do a ton to the interiors of them. I know in the Armada they just did, of course they did, not a galley kitchen, but they did a refrigerator and a couple things, but they don't seem to, for them calling this a concept, they don't really, other than the outside. I guess you put $20,000 of gear on the outside, and that's your budget for this build.
Yeah. So, I mean, interior wise, I know that they did the wet skins, seat covers. I guess I was talking more of inside the bed, just to kind of see that drawer system. Okay. Obviously, they made sure to really give Yeti a nod there, so I'm sure there's some type of partnership with them. Let's see who else. Icon obviously is going to be involved with anything suspension related to the Titan. Yeah. You also have your Rhino rack, which
they've got a list. Is that what you're looking at? The list on the Nissan News?
Yeah, I was just kind of browsing. A lot of the names you start seeing over and over again in some of these builds. I've noticed Rhino rack in quite a few of the Titan, and I believe the Armada Mountain Patrol as well. So, and then Nitto's. I feel like every truck they've done has been a Nitto tire.
Yeah, they must have a partnership there, because it's Nitto on is your only options on their supposed builds. But yeah, so who do you know? I'm not a fisherman by any means, but the guy that I guess he was some kind of well-known fisherman that they had, kind of talking with him about this, and I was lost on who really he was, other than like the dude from what's the pitching TV show that was on HBO? He looked like oh gosh, what does that dude? That comedian's name? Oh, it's killing me. Anyways, he looks like that dude that was on that HBO Down. What is? Jeez, save me here, Holden. Come on, man.
You're so
Eastbound and Down. Eastbound and Down. So he reminded me of that dude, man. He's just, but he had a Yeti hat on that looked like, it's like, I know you're sponsored by Yeti, but could you put a hat on that doesn't look like it's been just salt and everything all over it? I guess it gives legitimacy, but I can't. I had to edit a show that I destroyed a person on one time, so we're not going to get into that. But yeah, like you were saying, but they got Baja Design lights on it. Dragonfly paddle boards were on it. WeatherTech floor mats, which I think the WeatherTech thing's kind of new, so that's kind of cool. And they had a solar shower, which, like, things that should be on that Overland build they did a few years back is like, oh yeah, let's put it on the beach truck. But I dig the truck, man. The only one thing I really have a beef with is stop doing the Cummins diesels on these things, man. I know you really want to push Cummins, but I'm pretty sure the 4,000 trucks you sell a month, that they're not all Cummins there, guy. John Nissan, if you're out there listening.
Maybe that's why they use the Cummins, because they got a lot of extras.
Yeah, all the extra weight they need to tow it somehow. But I'm like I said, I'm not going to get too deep into this truck. I liked it. I like the color. Icon lift. You know they're going to use an Icon lift on these things. So, I don't know. Let's see. And our friend Wendy Orthman over there, she is the contact for this. So, give Wendy a shout out on the Instagrams. She, if you ever want to know what they're building, man, she always teases it on her Instagram page before it seems to get out there to the public. Let's see. What else do we have? We have... Speaking of bashing cars, Nissan and I don't know how you say this, Ital Design to unveil the ultra limited GTR prototype. Dude, what is your view on this car? Because I'm probably not going to be the best one on it.
I mean, I think it's cool. Somewhat. For what purpose? I'm terrible with this, and maybe people will be mad at me, but I feel like Nissan wastes so much time and energy and publicity with the GTR. I know it's a flagship type of car, but I just feel sometimes, I mean, get on just Nissan's Instagram page and it's just GTR, 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 GTR.
Right.
And eventually there comes a point in time where how many people are really being led to the brand because you keep doing stuff with GTRs?
What's the boy that cried wolf? You just keep over and over.
Maybe, I mean, that might just be me as someone who works at a dealership and knowing that we barely have anyone ever come in asking to get a GTR. And I think you could do more things. But I will say it's cool.
I don't get
That's
it.
all pretty much.
Honestly,
I don't see anyone really.
I'm with you,
being
man.
Driven to the brand because of it.
Because here's the thing. I know the Saudis buy a ton of these cars, and they just buy them to basically beat the crap out of them and throw them away. And as a supercar, it's hard to call it a supercar anymore because I know it's still fast, but it barely competes with like supercars anymore. Other than you go mod the thing out, you know, and I know Lamborghini and all that's, you know, almost double the price, but there's a prestige you get with an Italian supercar that you're not going to get with a Japanese supercar. I mean, I think it's sort of an uphill battle like GM faces with the Corvette. It's practical, it's fast, it's fun, but in the end, it's not a $250,000 Lamborghini. So what? The design of it, I don't get it, man. It is like you took some Italian and just slung. I don't know, if you had an Italian drape and you just threw it over the car. I was like, okay, wow. But they're actually talking about selling this car. I mean, for what?
Yeah, there's a link on here for serious inquiries about obtaining a GT R50 by Ital Design. Please visit. So there's a link. Are they just seeing how many people are interested before they pull a trigger or something? Like I said, I think that you could do so much more than just do GTR stuff all the time to drive people to the brand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for Christ's sake, a new Z car would drive more people to the brand and would be better than not that it's not cool, not that it's not interesting, but how many people see this and they're like, oh, that's really cool. Let me go down to my local Nissan dealership and check out what else they have.
Yeah. I'm not going there for that.
If you had a Z, or even if you did something, Sentra SER, Ultima SER, something along those lines, something that appeals to regular people, but then also would appeal to that tuner type crowd. I've said it before in the past. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. I would like to see like a 240 kind of old school redone 240 thing that Nismo really jumps on board and helps build something that can be modified. I think that would be amazing for the brand. Because you have a heritage there.
Nismo,
but I feel like with this GTR, there's not enough of a heritage to be doing crazy things like this.
Well, Nismo's a lost cause to me. I don't know what they do anymore, other than every couple of years they decide they want to be a sort of a sub brand again. I really don't know what they do. I mean, I guess GTR, you can get the Nismo GTR and stuff, and maybe that takes up a ton of their time, but they have so much potential with just their Maximas and stuff, and they don't do anything with it, man. Could you imagine a Nismo Maxima or Ultima? I mean, in a true, you're paying for something, not just some aftermarket looking stuff like the Sentra. I mean, I dig the Sentra, and it's cool that you can get it in a manual in that little turbo, but is that Nismo worthy? I don't know, man. When I think of Nismo, I'm thinking of those 80s and 90s, those enthusiast cars, man. And I don't see it with this. But as far as this thing, man, it's gold and gaudy, and the rear end of the front end is okay to me, but the rear end of this car is just ugly. And I know our buddies over at Nissan, especially USA, listen to this, but sorry guys, I'm normally a fan of everything you do, but not particularly this one.
Yeah, I agree. Same sentiments. Maybe even if you did, I know there's it's the 50th anniversary of the GTR, it's the 50th anniversary of Ital design, but it's not the 50th anniversary of the GTR. If you really think about it, it's the 50th anniversary of the Skyline. And let's be honest, the Skyline and the GTR, those are two totally different cars.
Well, even at the 50th anniversary of the Skyline, I've heard them talking about that a little bit. It's I'm calling BS on that one. Because, guys, you didn't build the Skyline for like 10 years in between something there, man. Let's be, I mean, I don't...
And that's true, too.
So
I would love to see Nissan get back into the sports car, and I'd say get back into that. Yes, they have the Z, but I mean get back into is quit building the same car you've been building for the past 10 years.
Yes,
I would. Maybe it's just because I was back in our shop today, and there's a technician we have back there doing a 240, putting an R35 in it, and I just am like, this is still a cool car to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but if they just built a two-door sports car that was affordable to where a younger kid could get into it, but then you also build it in such a way where it can be built, or if you have Nismo do some extra stuff to it, to where even a real enthusiast, maybe with a guy in his late 40s, early 50s who has some extra money could buy a nicer car. If you had something that kind of bridged that gap between, because right now, how many kids growing up 16, 17 years old are like, I can't wait to get a 370. I mean, it's getting to the point where it's got some age on it. It doesn't have that same excitement it did.
And it's getting overpriced.
It is.
For the lack of performance, that car is just getting overpriced. I mean, you can go get a Camaro now, almost a base model Camaro that's like 50 times the car, really. And I don't, I'm not a fan of the Camaro by any means, but they've done, when they put the bigger engine in it, the 3.7 in it, when was that? Like 2008, I think, is when they did that. And you're talking, that's 10 years ago, man. And you haven't done anything in 10 years to that car. But maybe they're happy selling, what was it here? I can tell you 363 of them that they sold last month. And I mean, hell, they've sold 60 GTRs. So, and that's a over $100,000 car. So it makes more sense to sell those.
Someone's going to say it. Yeah, but they haven't done anything with the Frontier, and they kept it. But the Frontier is still selling numbers because of the value. So, yes, they haven't redone the Frontier in forever. I know.
Well, we've talked about the Frontier.
Truck, if you compare it, it's still a great value. If you say, hey, I'm in the truck market, and you look at Frontier, that's great value. So if you said, hey, I'm in the sports car market, the Z, to me, is not a great value. So if you are going to have the Z and you're not going to change it for 10 years, at least make it a value. At least make it something where someone's like, hey, maybe this isn't my first choice, but this is a good price point, and for what I'm paying for is a great car. You got to have one or the other. You either got to have a great product that blows everyone else's doors off, or you got to have a price that blows everyone else's doors off. That's the key to selling a car.
Which I don't know who in Nissan's promotions department is doing it, but man, I've seen article after article about the value of the Frontier here recently, man. Somebody's pushing these car magazines. Hey, look at the value.
Yeah, I mean, especially in this market, I mean, you're seeing the price of the trucks go higher and higher every year, and the Frontiers remain steady. So it is a great buy, and I'm not saying that just because I work for Nissan. It really is. When you compare it to other makes and models, for what you're getting for that truck, it's a fantastic buy.
It is. And speaking of that truck and kind of anniversaries you were talking about, Canton, Mississippi plant is actually celebrating their 15 years of being there, man. Which is that's a big deal, you know. Canton, what started as the Titan. They started building the Titan, and I know they did overflow of Altima, a lot of the rental Altima stuff, and now they're building the Envy vans. Of course, the Xterra and Frontier that were built in Smyrna moved down there, and I know they're still building the Frontier down there. And they were just awarded the next Frontier, so they've got a lot going on down there, man. And let's see. They've their little ad here they've created 25K jobs statewide from it. They've 4 million vehicles assembled. Let's see, what do we got? Nissan's invested $3.3 billion into that plant, which that's mind-boggling. When you see the billion mark, you're like, how many cars do you have to sell out of that plant to recoup your money? But and they've done like 15 million in charities in the area, and that when and I know all plants do it, but like Nissan here in Smyrna, man, they're real big with Habitat for Humanity and stuff like that. So they're definitely a partner in the community, and for 15 years they've been one for Canton, Mississippi.
Yeah, it's always, to me, it's always big to give back to your community. And obviously with me, I work for Nissan as a dealership, and we try to give back to our community. But not only that, whenever people try to say, oh, this isn't an American made or this is Japanese, look at the amount of money Nissan invests back into the community year over year. I mean, you're talking about there wouldn't be half the jobs in Canton if it wasn't for Nissan putting their plant there. And at a time when other maybe manufacturers aren't, producing cars here in the United States, Nissan's really taken a big step and has continued to really lead the way in that. I mean, you're looking at a 13-year partnership with Habitat for Humanity, where they've been contributing more than $15 million and more than 97,000 volunteer hours. I mean, helping rebuild some houses during Katrina and things like that. So good for Nissan. And I always like seeing some of these little feel-good stories where they're giving back to the community. And, that's one thing it's always going to be an uphill battle with a Japanese car company like that. But sometimes if people take a minute to really look and see what Nissan's doing, it's actually really great things that they're doing for communities all over the nation. Right.
Yeah. And I know for here in Middle Tennessee, man, before they came here, Smyrna, where the plant is here, dude, it was a one light town. And even Murfreesboro, where I'm at, was just like a little town, and it's like impacted the community. Like, we've quadrupled in size. You know, there's all these modern things because of the plant being here, and they really do impact it. When American companies go to Mexico, you know, it says a lot that Japanese companies are like, no, we can build them there. You know, we don't need, you know, of course, scary times now when you start talking tariffs and stuff with what could happen. But that's for Political Nation. That's not for Nissan Nation podcasts. But let's have you looked at the sales number? Obviously you look at sales numbers, man. Anything kind of, because I don't want to go through and bore our audience with the list of everything. Anything kind of stand out to you that you seen?
I mean, not really. It doesn't surprise me. Ultima obviously doing fairly well. Like I said, there's a good bit of money and kickbacks on Ultima right now with them trying to push the last of the 18s out to make way for these 19s. The biggest thing I've been just looking at is just really the kicks, to be honest with you, not to bring it up again, but especially in my local area, I've kind of paid attention to dealers and seeing pretty much all my surrounding dealers have sold the 1 to 2 kicks that they've already got in. So that's big to me. We've been getting leads on them pretty much once a week with a car that's fairly new. So I think that's only going to increase as it gets more popular. You're starting to see a little bit more advertising from Nissan. They did a big, huge thing with the BET awards with the kicks. So I think it's something you're really going to start seeing more of. And that price point is just a great price point. So, I mean, not to continue to bring it up, but it is something new, something to definitely keep our eyes on with another launch of a Nissan product. Obviously, Rogue Sport, I'm going to go ahead and say, did not perform the way that I think Nissan thought it would. I personally think that this Kicks is more of what the Rogue Sport should have been. Mm-hmm. But that's just my personal opinion.
How do they track sales of Rogue Sport? Because I do not see it in their list of sales. Is it part of Rogue sales, or I'm sitting here looking at their numbers when you brought that up, and I was like, I don't recall seeing Rogue Sport in any of their lists, and I don't see it. It's not in their truck SUV lineup for. And that's odd to me.
It should. I mean, they list it. I mean, obviously, I get different.
Yeah,
stuff
you get numbers that we
what's
don't.
What's just available. But I would think it should be separate. If not, it may be rolled in with the Rogue then.
Yeah, because Rogue is at 37,000 units sold, which is up actually 7% versus this time last year. Murano kind of sticks out to me because that design's a few years old now, and they're actually, this time last year they sold 5,000, and right now they're at 8,000, so that's a pretty big increase. Pathfinder's, holding steady, and I know there's all kinds of rumors floating around with Pathfinder, so I'll be curious to see how they take that. Whatever they do with the next gen, that if they make it more manly or more soccer mommy, who knows? But I'm curious because Pathfinder's interesting to me because it's due for a model update, and they've kind of, like in the 90s, they kind of bounced from that hard body look to that more softer unibody look. And then I don't remember what the sales were like back then, but they jumped right back to a body on frame real quick. And I don't remember the body on frame selling that well, but I mean, this one here seems to be selling quite well. There's no Xterra sales, Holden. It's on the list, but there's no sales.
They're finally all gone.
I guess so, man. But Titan's holding about flat. They've sold 23,000 Titans this year, which is they would have killed for in the last few years of the Gen 1, man. They would have killed over those 1,500 sales a month. Let's see. Leaf surprises me. Leaf sales are kind of down, and it's kind of strange because that one came out in January, so 6 months. And every Leaf owner that wanted one bought one?
Really what it is every Leaf owner that wanted one that extended their last lease came in and realized the incentives, and in some states now, the tax breaks aren't there anymore because a lot of states are kind of like the feds are. Once you hit a certain number, they quit doing the tax breaks. So I know for us here, that's kind of affected us. People that were getting obviously a lot of tax money back, so you could roll that in with your lease, this, that, the other. So your payments were very low. You're not getting that now. So someone who may have been paying $250 a month for the last lease, essentially driving it almost free, now that payment is obviously higher.
Mm-hmm.
So they come in looking for that, and it's not there. So then they don't want it. So we've actually done a very good job of selling used Leafs. Has been a big one for us. Obviously new, still pretty popular. You're going to have your enthusiasts. I say enthusiasts. But that's what they are.
Yeah, they
like
have
the drive and feel of electric cars.
They have an audience, man. They there's websites devoted to those things.
Oh yeah, it's huge down in the metro Atlanta area. Obviously, we have a pretty good infrastructure for the electric vehicle, but that's all I can really say is it really is an enthusiast. There are people who just enjoy the ride. They enjoy the feel and the way an electric car drives, because it is a totally different experience than a regular gas car, and that's what enthusiasm is. It's being enthusiastic about that specific product. And I know some people are like, you can't be an enthusiast, but
why not?
Per Webster's dictionary, they're enthusiasts.
And why not, man? But you were saying used. I'm amazed at how this sounds horrible, and it's no confidence in electric vehicles just yet. But the prices that you can buy a used Leaf for, like if I just do a Craigslist search or whatever, I'm amazed how cheap you can actually get a fairly new car.
Yeah, well, part of that goes in. That's what people don't realize is part of that goes into the rebates and tax savings that were available to those cars. Mm-hmm. So you start looking at, there was $7,500 federal, $5,000 state, depending on your state. So you're looking at $12,000 off that car. Well, that affects the residual value of the car because I know what you actually paid for it new. So it's like a lot like what you're seeing right now with Titan residual values. These guys who want to trade in after a year and they're not worth that much. Well, you bought a $50,000 truck, yes, but you had how much in incentives?
Yeah,
$9,000, $10,000 depending on your area. So that affects the residual value of that truck.
But does that mean that when they do that, does that mean that? And we'll jump on that Titan a little bit. Does that mean that they've overpriced that vehicle? In reality, because I know Nissan's been trying to move this, so you could get $8,000 off this truck for quite a while now. Does that, in my eyes, when I see GM and everybody do this, I just feel like that means they've overpriced the vehicle, and to move it, they need to get it to where the market thinks the value is of it.
Yes and no. To me, really what it is it's us as a society has come to expect that we should get $8,000 off when we buy a new car.
Right.
So they therefore sometimes, I guess, mark up the price and then give you the incentive to make you feel like you got to. Everything sales-wise is going to be psychological. So sometimes I wonder if just us as a society, and I know people are going to be, you're just saying that because you're a car dealer. That's not what I'm saying. You walk into a Walmart, they have $5.95 for the price. You either buy it or you go try to find it somewhere cheaper.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is you don't argue that. And I don't know if car sales could ever be that way. Probably not. But sometimes I wondered, is it just the fact that so many people try to grind these prices down thinking that there's more there than what there really is?
Right.
And that's essentially what we've come to is, they give you that incentive to make you feel like you got a deal when in all actuality, they kind of already planned for that. I don't know.
Right.
Because I don't work for the factory, so I couldn't really tell you how that works. I just know how it works when I buy a car from Nissan and then have to sell it, which is not as pretty as what people think it is.
Well, it didn't work out for Saturn with that no haggle pricing too well. So
yeah. Yeah. No, it doesn't always. And that's kind of what it comes down to is there is a psychological factor to car sales and car buying. I mean, you got to appeal to people. And sometimes it's a matter of building value in the brand. People are willing to pay more for a value, pay more for a name. We see that all the time in society. I mean, a purse is a purse. But just because it has one person's name on it, now all of a sudden they can charge $100 more. So, I mean, just goes back to what we're talking about, GTR and Lamborghinis. GTRs can perform sometimes just as good as a Lamborghini, but it's the fact that when you pull up to the club in Las Vegas, the girls who don't know anything about cars know what a Lamborghini is. They might not know what a GTR is.
They know what that bull means.
Yeah.
It means either he's got a lot of money to rent the car or a lot of money to buy the car. Either way, you've probably got some cash on you. That's funny. Couple more things. The Nismo Festival is set for December 2nd at Fuji Speedway. I've seen this in the past. NISFest guys, I think it was NISFest guys, they went out there one year. Would kill to go see all those GTRs at that speedway, and I know they do all kinds of fun stuff there. What else do we have here? New VP, blah, blah, blah. The Formula E debut, I'm kind of over that. I guess that's it for now on news, unless you got something else you want to pop in there.
Not really. I mean, it pretty much covers it. Nothing too crazy, really. The surf camp was a big one. But yeah, other than that, I'd say the next biggest thing is, are you signed up for Windrock?
What? Windrock? What is that? What is that, Holden?
Little cross advertising we got going on here.
What it is a Nissan only event.
That is it.
That is it.
With hopefully some Nissan sponsorship this year.
That's right, man. With Regal Nissan.
Listening.
Well, Regal Nissan stepped up, I know, as the title sponsor. In the past, we have had Nissan show up. Seems how we're only like 210 miles away or something from the headquarters. I know I've been in talks with them, so if that helps at all, that maybe we can get one of them grills out there, them Titan grills.
Smoking Titan.
I know a friend of the show that works for Nissan. They somehow snuck the Warrior Titan out to Windrock the other day, so that was kind of cool.
Maybe they were testing its sea legs before they bring it to Windrock.
Well, it's been there before. They didn't take it anywhere. It just showed up and sat there. Yeah, man. When if you listening, there's only a few spots left. We've capped it off at 75 trucks this year and unlimited people. So if you got Nissan friends that want to go, they can come on out. Go to windrock.com and check it out. As I was told by Holden, I had a website wrong on one of my websites for Wint. It was a .org instead of a .com, I believe. Let's see.
Way to embarrass us, Dave.
I know, man. Well, I don't even have you on the website yet, man. I keep dawning on me that I forgot to put you on the website, and you've been a part of the team for 3 months now.
I'm sitting there selling it up the podcast, which I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have, but to a Nissan truck guy, he was there, and I just started talking to him, and he's like, "Wait a minute, you help on a show that had 5,000 downloads last month?" I was like, "Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out." And then next thing I know, I'm getting an email, "Just to let you know, it's a .com, not a .org, but I'm definitely gonna try to be out there for Wint." And I was like, "All right, man, I don't care. I'll let that guy know."
At least it wasn't RedTube. Yeah, don't go to that one. You're not going to find any Nissans there. And speaking of places that will find Nissans, I got to do an interview this week with a friend of the show, David Garcia. And he was in Australia, man. So let me tell you, when to set up an interview with Australia is no easy task, seeing how I think they're 9 or 10 hours ahead of us. But I did it. I stayed up late one night, and it was mid-afternoon for him. But we got to talk Nissans a little bit and how the Australian market, in his eyes, is working. And we'll just get to the interview because it's not a coherent. Well, I mean, it's a coherent interview, but I'm just such a fanboy of Australia. I ask the silliest questions, and I even asked, how does a guy named David Garcia Australian, because it's very Spanish or Hispanic name, and he fills me in on that.
He could be under the Witness Protection Agency there. That's just the name they assigned him.
Well, he did have there was guacamole involved, so I don't know, man. But let's get to that interview now with our buddy David over there in Melbourne, Australia, and see what's going on in the land down under. All right, so tonight or today, depending on what side of the world you are on, we have a very special guest. We've got all the way from Australia, Mr. David Garcia. How are you doing today or tonight? However we can word that.
Yeah, doing great here. It's about 1:30 in the afternoon on Saturday. It's Friday night over there.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm talking into the future or something here, but that's okay. That's okay. So you. How did you find us exactly? Was it through Dan Cole's podcast or?
I think it was. I think you guys might have been interviewed on Dan Cole's podcast one time, then a little while later, because I had Nissans and I was like, I'll give these guys a listen, and just enjoy listening to you, just laid back and. So you have fun.
So you like ear torture, basically, is what you're saying, and you keep listening to us. It's basically a country guy like me and the city boy Dan, and now we've added Holden. So it's like they're getting a big scope of America now when you hear us.
Yeah, no, it's great. You guys just play off each other, and it's just like hanging out with a couple of my mates back over here.
Yeah. Well, we're generally drinking and having a good time when we're doing this. So.
Yeah. That's the best thing about podcasters, there's no radio rules or.
That's right, man. You can say all the fun words, and who's going to stop you?
Well, exactly. And if people don't like it, then they can just switch off.
That's right. Unless it's Nissan, unless they're listening, then I'm sorry, guys. You enjoy it, please, and keep happy with me.
Yeah.
So you found us through there, and I know you've been listening for a little bit, and I remember I was all excited. We got to send you. I think I hit you up for about a sticker or something. I was like, hey, I'm going to send Australia something, and I think you chimed in and was like, hey, I'll take one. And I was like, and we've sent them all. We've sent them everywhere. I've sent them to Brazil and all kinds of places, but for some reason, Australia is like that. I think it's because we're adventurers, and like Americans think of Australia as like the great overland outback that. I don't know. It's just like for off-roading, it's like the Mecca for us.
Yeah. It's Australia's very similar to the US in many ways. We both come from the same, the European, explorers and such. And we still have our big cities, but I mean, Melbourne and Sydney are our biggest cities. I think Sydney's about 5 million and Melbourne's about 4.5.
Right.
And they're about 1,000-ish sort of kilometres apart, which is about 600 miles apart. And then, but to get out into the countryside or the high country or the bush, as we call it, even in Melbourne, you can get out there in about an hour and a half, and you can be hitting trails and stuff. Not that I do much,
right? Well, I don't know. The last time you sent me some pictures of you were out on the trails, so it looked like you were camping.
Yeah, up in the high country at Christmas time. Because obviously that's summer down here, so that's our main sort of camping and stuff like. Because they close a lot of the high country trails in Victoria during the winter, just because it's the snow and just to protect the trails as well. If they're really muddy, they just get torn up by,
So is conservation of the trails and stuff a big thing there?
Oh yeah, very much. Victoria is different because that's the state that Melbourne is, just because I live just north of Melbourne. The Parks Victoria, they're really encouraging to get people off the beaten track and exploring and using the parks, but in a responsible manner. They've even put up signs saying this is a like the ski runs, how they have black diamond and double black diamond and blue trails and stuff. They've done a similar thing with the 4-wheel drive trails.
Well, that's. I mean, I've always thought that interesting. Here in the States, we do that a lot, and I know it's kind of based on the skiing resorts and stuff, how they rate trails. But that's interesting that they call them the same things in Australia. I would have never thought that.
Nah, we do a lot of things similar to America because most of our TV comes from America. So
really, that's interesting. Yeah. So I'm gonna in the back end I'm gonna hit you with all kinds of stupid American questions. So get ready for that. But first, so you are a Nissan guy or a Nissan guy. I never know how the world pronounces the brand, but you are a brand Nissan. Yeah. So how many have you owned?
I've owned 3 if you include the Datsun, because the Datsun used to be Nissan. My dad, he's had 3, but I grew up. He had a little Datsun Stanza. I don't know if they had the similar model over there, which was like a little sedan. And Dad used to tow the boat, and we used to go camping, and we basically treated it like a 4-wheel drive, even though it was just a little rear-wheel drive car. Then he had a Nissan Navara, which was your Frontier, I think. That was probably a 93 model Navara.
Is that the D21 platform? Is that what?
Pardon?
Did y'all have the same D21 platform that we would have had then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was just before the D22.
Yeah. So we called those hard bodies here. It was the weirdest name for a pickup truck I've ever heard of, but I don't know why they called them hard bodies, but that always was interesting to me.
Oh, okay. Is that because of the just like the tub on the back, or
I never could understand why. And then in 98, 97 is when they brought the Frontier, the kind of Navara style.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The actual name, they called it the hard body instead of the Frontier.
Yeah, it was very strange.
It sounds like a bodybuilding sort of.
Yeah. It very 80s, Arnold Schwarzenegger and everybody. I guess Nissan was like, hey, let's just call our trucks the hard body.
That's cool.
Well, I know you said a couple, but I know you had what? You had one come up missing, right?
Yeah, I had a R50 Pathfinder, which was a 2000 model, and I'd worked it a bit. I put a 2-inch lift on it and some all-terrain tires, and I had a roof rack and awning on the side and bull bar like on the front, and driving lights, and I was kitted out pretty well. I mean, I was looking to upgrade because it had done about 320,000 Ks, which is about 200,000 miles. So I was getting pretty high, and I wanted something, and it was only a 3.3 litre petrol, so I was going to update it at some stage.
Oh, so did they offer the diesel?
No, not in the R50.
Oh, okay.
In the R51 Pathfinder they did. But not the R50 only had the 3.3 litre V6.
So you were stuck with the same wimpy V6 that my Xterra.
Was it?
Yeah, no horsepower and yes, very underpowered.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, but it was a bit gutless. Like I had another camper trailer. We got a new one now, but it had a camper trailer. It was about a bit over a ton, and you'd hit a hill, and it just had no power. But no, I parked it at the train station when I went to work, and it was about just over a year ago now. And going from the station, it's all dark, and I'm wandering back from the train, walking through the car park, and going, oh, can't see my car, because my car was a lot higher than all the rest of the cars. Right. I could see it from miles away, and I'm going, someone's probably stolen it. And as I got closer, I was like, oh shit, someone has stolen it, because I could see the tracks in the gravel car park where they'd driven out, and I'm like, bastards. So I rang the cops. I rang my missus and told her what happened, and then I rang the cops, and they said, look, we're probably going to find it buried in front of a supermarket or a shopping centre later tonight, because big cars like that, they'll just use them for ramroad, to take do robberies and stuff like that. But they didn't. But the cops found it 4 days later, and it was trashed. They'd taken it bush, and then stripped everything off it, all the awning and all the gear, and they had probably about $2,000 worth of gear in it. Awning and auxiliary battery, and they even took the baby seat out of the back of the car. What are they going to do with that?
Right. Well, maybe they're being safe with their if they have any children.
Maybe.
Well, I know you seem to upgrade after that vehicle.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was looking around. I was looking at like a Patrol or a R50 Pathfinder or even the Navara. Just came across the Patrol, and it was in my price range, and I thought, and I only had 80,000 Ks on it, which wasn't a great deal, and it was a good deal, and so I just grabbed it, and it was from a Nissan dealer, and they just sort of said, look, we'll do this today for that price, and we know your car's been stolen, so we'll give you a car to drive around for a few weeks until you get your finance organised. So They looked after me well. Just threw me the keys to a little Pulsar, which I'm not too sure what you guys call there. It's
we had Pulsars, but it was early 90s, late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, they had the Pulsar here, and then they changed it to the Nissan Tida, I think, and then they brought the Pulsar name back because no one liked Tida name. It was a bit weird.
Yeah.
But I think it's like almost their smallest car. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then they gave me an Ultima to drive for a little while as well. That was pretty good.
So y'all have the Ultima there. They don't call it the 10... Oh, gosh. I forget what Asia calls the Ultima. The 10R.
Oh, okay.
Oh, gosh. Anyways, but so y'all do have... Because I know the supercars, they race the Ultima.
Yeah. Well, they race a version of... It's like the supercars here is just... It's like NASCAR. They have like a body, like a car frame.
Yeah.
Like a chassis. Then they just bolt panels on that looks like that car, and they're also homogenized, so they, like, the Holdens and the Fords and the Nissans, and they're all pretty much the same size, so no one gets an aero advantage. But the engine they use is a Nissan V8 engine out of the petrol, the Y62 Patrol, which is the
VK
Armada,
the VK 5.6.
Yeah, the 5.6 V8, which they've sort of, it probably wouldn't resemble much to the supercar engine. Wouldn't resemble much to a road-going engine.
Well, I've often, because of course I'm in the south of America, so NASCAR is huge here, and I've often wondered why. Because Nissan moved their U.S. headquarters here, and I've often wondered. It seems like they would have got into racing like that, and they just never have here.
Yeah, they're not really setting the world on fire, unfortunately, the Nissan team. And they've had a couple of wins, but I don't know if they're really contending.
Yeah, I'd heard at one time that they were going to pull out of that, and they weren't going to do it, and then they're going to do it. Like, Nissan for racing is very strange. They're going to do it, they don't. Who knows? This week, next week, it's different.
Yeah, it's the same here. You just don't know. Like, I heard some rumors, but I used to follow the supercars quite a bit, but then they moved it onto because it used to be on free to air. Then they moved to pay TV, which is Foxtel. And then after they did that, it's like, we just had the baby, and it's just like, well, $60 a month, and it's just like, well, most of it's football, which Australian one's football, which I like, but I'm not willing to pay for it. I don't watch it that much. So I haven't really followed the V8s.
Well, what for racing there? What is the supercars the thing, or is it Formula One like everywhere else, or?
Like, motor racing is not huge in Australia. Aussie rules football is the biggest sport, but Formula One is still pretty popular. But again, that's been moved on to pay TV as well. So unless you're paying for a subscription, you can't watch it as much. But like the V8s is great. Like, they used to call it the V8s. It's just the supercars now. Like, they have the big race at the towards the end. That's in October, I think it is Bathurst, which you probably get on pay TV over there. That's still hugely popular, and that's still on free to air. Like, the big races are still on free to air, right, for now.
Right.
But,
So
sports cars are getting popular.
I was going to say, does F1 comes down there though, right? I think they have a Grand Prix.
The F1's in Melbourne here in March every year. I've been to that a few times. It's really good.
Yeah, I've not. That's the one thing. We had IndyCar here, and then at the Nashville Speedway, they had Indy cars here. Of course, they're just doing ovals, and then like I never understand between them and the Champ cars how that ever worked, and it was like it was a cluster trying to keep up with those cars. So I give up on the Indy and F1. I can't keep up with it, and I've given up on racing in general though. Like I really like the drifting stuff they like to do, you know, the whole Fast and the Furious thing here. That seems to be kind of fun to watch because it's still kind of the kid in the garage can do it. But other than that, I've given up on racing. And of course, then my favorite brand never wants to be in it either, so that doesn't always help me.
Yeah.
Well, so
the Nissans we're doing a bit of the sports cars here, the GT racing, because they do a 12-hour race at Bathurst in February, and I don't think they're in it this year, but the last couple of years they're like Nissan from Japan have brought over a team, like they're racing a couple of GTRs, and they were awesome across the track. They were so fast, but I don't think they were here last year. They have like 3 cars, and then one of the cars has a driver that won like, you know, the Gran Turismo video game championship, and they put this guy in the car, and they're usually pretty good.
Well, they're very like Nissan loves the video games, like the whole PlayStation, the Gran Turismo thing. I don't know what I guess it works out. They see, oh, these guys can play a video game, they can drive a car, and we used to have a TV show that they put on. It was on one of the race channels that Nissan did. It was like this kind of reality series they did where they brought all these gamers in, and then that's what they did. They would, you know, teach them how to drive cars. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, I guess like when they're in those seats and stuff, and they're almost like a simulator that a lot of those video games are in. You know, I guess if they can make them as realistic as they can, then, you know, I guess it's just the physics of physical forces on the body when you're inside one of those.
Right.
Like when you're inside an actual car, which would be different, I suppose.
I grew up in the wrong time period, I guess, because I didn't get to the fun video games for that. Well, so as far as Australia and America, I know that we always think you guys have the coolest cars ever. I mean, with especially like Holden and stuff, those are always classic. And like, I know Mercury in the 70s, they always built seem like these really rad cars for you guys. Is there anything in America that you guys down there were always like, man, if we could only get these cars?
Yeah, I mean, the grass is always greener.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like I've watched shows like the Expedition Overland. You see, you got me.
Oh yeah, I was going to comment on your hat.
Yeah, and just seeing when those guys were driving like the Tacomas and the Forerunners and stuff like that, and they're nice and, you know, and big, and you're just like, oh, great day. I mean, the only real, you know, if you want to have 4-wheel drive here, you've got to have, you know, everyone says you've got to have diesel, you know, for the distances that we travel. So if they brought out, like even like the if they had brought out the new Patrol in a diesel, it would have just killed it over here. But in the US, it's mainly, I don't know, you know.
It's okay. Like we don't have to have cars that you guys want. Want. We don't have to have cars you guys want, because I know, like you said, the grass is greener. But you guys do seem to get a lot of common vehicles that we get. I don't know. It's like for the Skylines and stuff. I know you got those. Of course, we called them Infinities here. The G35 and stuff was the Skyline, so there has been some similar, but I know for us, like the Patrols, especially the last generation Patrol, what is it though? Is it the one, the Y61, I think it is, or?
Yeah, that's the one that I've got, the Y61.
Okay, so that's the big one. So is it I'm sorry, Australians, I know if you're listening, I'm horrible with the body coating of these vehicles. So, but we've got I've got a buddy up here, Oz 4-wheel drive. He does lighting and stuff. He's up here. in Nashville, and he brought a couple of his patrols up. He's got a little 2-door round light one.
That'll probably be a GQ.
Yeah. Sure. And then he's got not the one that you have, but the generation before it, kind of the last mid-size 4-door patrol.
Right.
And I know for us, like we just wet ourselves for these cars because they're just so. You're like with the Xterra for us was somewhat like Nissan was taking the off-roading seriously here, and they built something first. But we seen the patrols, and it's like it still has a straight axle, and it's just built tough. And so we get excited when we see these cars. And I was always curious if there's one that you guys that we have that you want. And I know, like with Toyota. I know the Helix up here, everybody's like, oh my God, the Helix is so great. And it sounds like down there, everybody's like, well, the Tacoma's pretty cool. We'd like to have that.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, I think we don't get a lot of sort of exposure of those, of the American four-wheel drives, because basically most of the things that have done well in America, they've brought out here. But I mean, most of our four-wheel drives are all Japanese.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've had like the Land Cruisers, since Moses was a boy, and Land Rovers and all that. So I think people telling big caravans have always have gone for because there's only you like Nissan and Toyota and Ford and don't bring the big American, or you guys call them the mid-sized trucks. They don't bring them out to Australia. You've got to get them imported by companies and then get them converted from left-hand drive to right-hand drive. So they're not as popular. But people who have like horse floats and stuff like that, they like the big Cummins V8 diesels.
I'd heard that Nissan was actually going to bring the Titan down there, and I know there's been conversions where they're converting them. But I'd heard at one time that they were going to take on the Australian market with that truck. Because you guys, that's a full-size truck for us, and y'all don't have anything that size, from my understanding.
Not really. Not unless you get like an import and get it converted. Probably the biggest, without going to an actual truck, the biggest one is probably like your 200 series Land Cruisers, and but even like the Y62 Patrol, which is like the latest generation of Patrol, because they're not making the Y61 anymore. They're only going with the V8. Petrol powered one. So anything bigger than that, you're basically looking at an import,
right?
I guess because Australia's market is so small in comparison,
and that's what I've kind of heard, and that's kind of like GM. I know they've basically ruined Holden down there, and it's what shut down now, right?
No one's making cars in Australia anymore.
Right.
We used to have Toyota. They were making the Camrys, in Melbourne here, and Ford were making, they're called the Ford Falcon, and the Ford Territory and stuff. And then in Adelaide, they were building like the Holden Commodore, which I think is your like a Malibu or something like that. It's like a rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, they used it as the SS, the Chevy SS was called. I think it was the Holden, the last one they did. And I know Pontiac here. For a while, they called it a G8, was a Holden as well.
That's right. Yeah. I think it's funny because that didn't really work in the States. Australia, it was just too expensive to build the cars in Australia and ship them over there.
Yeah.
So then after that, they had all these bonnets with the Pontiac sort of nostrils on the bonnet. So then after they stopped doing that, Holden going, we've got all these bonnets. Let's just throw them on our cars and make like a special edition. So you'd see all these Holdens driving around with like Pontiac bonnets. all the parking's like, oh, this is cool. We're just like, it just looks stupid.
Well, I'd watched a YouTube video on the Chevy SS, which was the Commodore, and it was funny. The guy was like showing like, oh, if you pull this panel off, GM was so lazy they just slapped something over the Holden badging. Like it was so lazy, but it was a fun car. I've seen many of them up here, and they were fast.
Oh yeah. A mate of mine, his brother-in-law's got a GTS, and it's got like I think it's like 5 or 6 litre V8. And he's put a supercharger on it, and he's saw it on his Facebook today. He's taken it down to one of the racetracks here. They got like a track day, and this thing absolutely howls.
Yeah,
you know, he spent about, I think he spent about $80,000 or $90,000 on the car, and then like the supercharger probably cost him about 20 or 30 grand.
Wow.
On top of that, and at the end of the day, it's still a Commodore. It's like you spend that kind of money, you could buy yourself a nice, you know, European, you know, Mercedes or BMW or something, you know.
Right. Well, I'm assuming GTR does. You see a few GTRs floating around, the newer.
Yeah, lots. Yeah, they've actually just finished making them. There's, so there's a few sort of, you know, well, I guess they call them legend editions or something like that of those cars floating around. But I guess I'll get rarer and rarer. But you know, I don't really. I mean, yeah, we used to be into the muscle cars and stuff like that. My brother, he's had V8s and such, but they don't really interest me as much as I do with four-wheel drives these days.
Yeah, that's me. Well, and speaking of four-wheel drives, I've always heard that you're very limited at how you can lift those in Australia as well. Like the government puts very big restrictions on it.
They do, yeah. It depends which state you're in as well. But, yeah, I think anything over a 2-inch lift, you can get in. You have to get it engineered. There's like tests that they have to do on your vehicle to make sure it's stable. So, like swerve tests and stuff to see if it's still safe. And then, because if you don't, you can get in trouble with no insurance. And you know, there is companies that will insure you, but you'll be paying a lot.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. Even like, you know, and I know in the US you can take your fenders off and, you know, have all your wheels exposed and, you know, drive around all real big modifications. But here, if you did that, you'd basically get pulled over by the cops and stick on the car.
And that varies from state to state here. Now in Tennessee, where I'm at, it's kind of the Wild West. It's what do they let whatever. But you go towards New York City, and it's like no, they are very restrictive of what you can do.
Yeah, I could imagine. Like I was watching. I don't know if you've seen the Patriot Campers, the Australian camper trailer company. They've actually just started importing their trailers into the US, and they did a TV series. I think it's on YouTube. Jump onto their YouTube page. They went over to Moab, and they're at the sort of camping show there, four-wheel drive show, and then when the show finished, they hired a couple of Jeeps and just went, you know, out in Moab, and then there was, you know, Jeeps out there with they were just basically a frame with wheels, and they're just trundling down the main street.
Yeah.
You know, just like in Australia, you would never be able to, unless you're on private property, then you can do whatever you want. But public land and forests.
Is the side-by-side market big there? The little 2-seater ATVs?
Yeah, it's pretty popular. But again, you know, vehicles like that, you've got to be on private property. You can't sort of drive them in the national parks and stuff unless they're registered, and then you've got to have, you know, mud guards and indicators.
Oh yeah. Well, you'll see them here. Like as long as you put the indicators and stuff on them, they'll drive them downtown here, and it's very strange.
Yeah, you could, but no one does.
Oh yeah. Well, so what was the last care? We sent you a couple patches, right?
Yep. I got them on the headline of my car already. Thanks for that.
Did you got my caution one too, right? That I sent you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I had to
buckle up. I want to try something.
Yeah, I was like, we think of Australians as crazy as like they have to have a crazy patch. So I had to send that one to you, and
it's great. Thanks for that.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. Anytime I'm like I said, I'm happy to like send things down that way. I don't know. I know you probably heard us. We were trying to buy pizzas for a Nissan dealership down there at one time, and I could never find a dealership that would like talk to us at all. And we just wanted to like all of a sudden, you know, American style pizza showing up to a dealership and like just trying to get some reactions out of the dealers there, and I could never get anybody to play along.
That's it. It's bit sad, really.
Yeah, I know. I mean, because I can, of course, I know many dealers here, so I can act stupid around them. But me and Danny's always wanting to do something just silly And we were like, where could we? Australia seems like the perfect place to do something just silly, and it's no. Maybe it's the British in them that just was like too uptight. We couldn't get them to
maybe they're just like, who's this American that are trying to scam me or something.
Right? Yeah, you have to pay for the pizzas now.
Yeah,
it's an Arabian prince is going to send you pizzas. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, as we kind of wrap this up, man. Yeah. I know. We didn't get much into your patrol, but I've kind of watched. You're starting to do some things with your patrol, right? Like kind of outfit it again a little bit, and
yeah. I've put a lift on it. I put a Coney shocks on it, and Dobinson Springs, a 2-inch lift. I put a roof rack on it with like the awnings, just trying to kit it out like my Pathfinder was before it got flogged, and I'm looking at putting a radio, like a UHF, and I'd like to put a winch on it, but I've got to replace the bull bar on it because it's got the factory aluminium bull bar at the moment, which doesn't take a winch. So to get like a $600 or $700 winch, I've got to basically buy a $2,000 bull bar.
Right. Yeah, I understand your pain with that.
Yeah. But we want to. Our plan is to do some more trips up north with our new camper trailer next year. So I'll definitely get some good photos. Actually, yeah.
Well, is everything I know of that version patrol? Of course, we call it an Armada here. They took a lot of crap for that gasoline engine, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, the new mine's got the diesel engine. Yeah, mine's got the 3-liter diesel, the common rail. But the new patrol has got it's got the gas engine, and it's struggling to get traction here. But from everything that I hear, it's an absolutely awesome vehicle. People say, don't knock it until you've test drive on, and when you test drive on, tell me what color you bought, because they're pretty.
Well, I know that's me and my wife's next vehicle will be the Armada, and I told her, I said, as soon as we buy it, I'm ripping Armada off of it. I'm putting patrol on it because that's what it is, man. And I've given
now I'll find some badges.
Yeah, I've privately given Nissan here kind of crap about it. I'm like, guys, I really feel like if they would have just called it a patrol here in the States, like they would sell so much better.
Yeah.
For us, the Armada was the last generation was fairly new vehicle, so it had no heritage. And the patrol has all this heritage.
Yeah. Oh, especially here, because mine's the last of the old generation with the solid axles front and rear. And,
yours is the one that I would kill for. Yours is my favorite one that they make, and yours is silver too, right?
Silver, yeah.
Which is I hate on any other color, but for some reason on that patrol, I really would want a silver one.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. Easy to keep clean and that. So it's it's really starting to. I had a few issues with it at first, but really starting to like it now. It's
a little more roomy probably than what you were used to too with your.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger, especially in the car parks as well, because I don't know, the car parks in the US must be a lot bigger than they are here when you've got all those big trucks and people parking off against each other.
Oh, yeah. They're at least 12 foot wide, I think, something like that.
Yeah. What's that? Oh, gosh, that's huge. Here they're about your standard car parks, because as I was saying earlier, we work in a similar industry. Our car parks are 2.6 meters.
Yeah.
Which is about, 2.1 is about 7 foot, 8 foot. So probably about 8.5 foot.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Wide.
But I'm interesting. It's interesting to me too because everything in the States, it just has to be big, 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 and of course the rest of the world, their cars are like I was saying, they were talking about bringing a Titan down there. Could you imagine, like in the UK or anywhere, that the full size truck would never work?
Oh, they'd have to put a diesel in it, like a Cummins diesel or something, because for it to really sell, because like petrol prices here are just astronomical compared to you guys. Like, we're paying, at the moment, diesel's at about $1.60 a litre. So I'm not too sure what that would convert to in the US, but I think a gallon is like 4 litres. So times 160 by 4, so that's $4.50 or whatever. Australian a gallon. So would that be about 350 US a gallon. I don't know.
We're actually it's $2.80 to $3 a gallon here. Diesel is.
So that's probably but petrol prices fluctuate no matter what. So they can be like $1.30, then all of a sudden they're $1.70 a litre.
Yeah.
And with a vehicle that's burning 20 30 litres per 100, even when it's not towing anything, and people are like, people shy away from it. So I really hope that Nissan do bring the Titan out here. Interesting to see how it goes, but like I said, our market is only like whole country population is about 24 million or something. So it needs to be viable for them to bring the vehicle out here.
Yeah, I think Los Angeles in California is 8 million. So
yeah.
So yeah, we add Los Angeles and a couple more, and we've got Australia, I guess.
Yeah,
but we still,
and like the country's about the same size as the US almost. Yeah.
Well, but I hate to keep rambling, but I'll get on Google Earth and look down that way, and I never realized how divided. I'd always known about Melbourne and in that area, but I never realized there was actually a West Coast that has a little bit to it. And I was looking at the roads, and I was like, "Holy cow, that's a week to get over there." It seems like.
Oh, it's about 4.5 days driving to get across. About 4,500 kilometres. So about 3,000 miles or something to get across there. But check out, there's a couple of guys in the WA, Western Australia. Ronnie Dahl, he has some great YouTubes.
Mm-hmm.
What's the guy's name? I can't think. There's another guy up in the Kimberley. I can't think of his name. But those like 4-wheel drive. I'd love to go to the west. We're planning on going up to the Northern Territory maybe next year and seeing so much, because you can drive for a whole day and not see anybody else on the road. It's the kind of place where you have to take a satellite phone.
Yeah. Well,
in case anything happens.
Unfortunately, here I don't have to worry about that too. We have in the States, it's called Kansas, and other than that, it's the middle of nowhere state. Other than that, no, we're pretty good with. You'll always find a person, but.
Yeah, no, it's it's pretty, like, once you get out of, especially in the centre of Australia, like if you look at, even if you just look at Google Earth on like an image, you'll see like the bottom, so the east coast and the southeast is, where it's all green, and that's where most people live. And then once in the centre, what we call the red centre, and the Western Australia, it's just, red and yellow, and it's just basically all desert. Not a lot of people live out there, but it's an amazing place, But the country is huge. Like when I flew to the UK a few years ago, we took off from Melbourne, and 2 or 3 hours later, opened the window up. I'm like, oh, still over Australia, like still over the desert somewhere.
Right.
Like,
well, man.
No one.
I appreciate you working this out for us. The weird time conversion here. Danny and Holden, they're kicking themselves because they're both. Danny's tied up in a race truck. Yeah, he's probably actually under his race truck right now trying to get it ready. And I know Holden was busy.
Say that to him.
I will. And we, like I said, I appreciate this. I know it was, you were kind of nervous about coming on. I was like, it's just a conversation, man. It's just two guys talking vehicles. But I want to have you back on though down the road and just kind of, especially when summer gets there and your adventures kick up. And I really want to. I want to live through you a little bit, so we can know what it's like to be an Australian.
Yeah, maybe. I'll try and do a couple of camping trips over the summer, and we can, we'll get some internet access or something, and I'll talk to you from the bush somewhere.
Oh, that would be wicked, man. That definitely would. But anyways, I appreciate your time, and
no problem.
Here's chatting in a couple months, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care of yourself, mate.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we are back. So hopefully that was interesting. I know it was for us Americans, and of course I asked the stupid American questions, and what they really think of Trump and all that. So So that was fun. They just like my Canadian friends, they all get a chuckle out of American politics. No matter what, from what I could tell was it didn't matter who was in office. They kind of get a chuckle out of us. The reality show that is.
I feel like when you live on a continent full of things that are everything can kill you, you just gotta kind of have some humor in life.
Yeah.
Can't take it too seriously.
And according to the Joe Rogan podcast, I think it was Joe Rogan, they were talking about the ozone layer is so depleted above Australia. So even the sky is trying to kill you over there, man. You can't even... Man, that place, though, is really, for me, that's a bucket list. Like, I've told Kelly, I was like, I forget what it was, our 20th anniversary, wedding anniversary, I said, we have to be in Australia for it, man. There's just no way around that one. And I got a feeling if I'm in Melbourne, David's going to look me up. He's bought patches. I think I give him all 3 patches. I think he bought one, and I gave him all 3 colors, so we could be fully represented down there, Holden. And I've sent stickers that way, and
the trifecta.
That's right, man. You got to do the trifecta if you're going to the land down under. But I appreciate David taking the time. He's just a Nissan car owner guy. Like, he's not promoting anything, and he was just having fun talking to us. And just the accent. I know this sounds American-y stupid, but it was just fun to hear that. And it was day, and I told him, I said, man, I feel like I'm talking to the future, and you're talking to the past, because the time difference. And anyways, I'm rambling.
We need to have him on again and do some intros and signatures for the show.
Oh, no, they're coming.
Oh,
they're there.
Ah.
Yeah, buddy. Come on, man. I run a tight ship here. Sure, I get a fanboy when I talk about a different continent, but they don't have penguins there, though. That was kind of a bummer. That, and it's their winter time. And no, I really don't.
Why did you think there would be penguins there?
I'm just messing.
Oh,
I'm waiting for somebody on their treadmill right now going, how dumb is this guy, man? But let's see. Holden, next time, man. Hopefully Danny's back. And we get the 911 on his epic adventure in his Armada. I know he kept filling us in on the road of the fun they were having, and I think by day 8 or whatever it was, he was ready to be home. But I can't wait for that one. I
feel like the next show is going to have to kind of be a Danny interview between his epic adventure, and obviously we got to see some race truck video.
Yeah, man.
A little bit of some reveals there. And if you haven't seen that, why don't you head on over to Danny's YouTube channel. Check those out.
That is Degree X.
So definitely pretty cool. I enjoyed seeing it. It's starting to slowly come along.
I didn't see any Regal hubs on that thing just yet, though.
Not yet. They're coming, I was assured.
Yes, I heard they were on his workbench. They're just itching to be put on that truck. But yeah, go over to Danny's Facebook page. He has some long videos, and he had a cool interview with the guys that set up his axle. It was actually done by a desert racing shop, which is really cool. And Danny, like, in his videos, he's just like a little schoolgirl. Like, he's just so, like, you just see the excitement in his face. He's just happy. So hopefully this fall he'll be test driving that thing. And I know Regal's going to be on there. I know the podcast is going to be on the side of that truck. I don't know who else. I'm excited to see who else he gets to slap a sticker on that thing.
It'll definitely be interesting.
Yes, knowing Danny.
Might even be a Girl Scout troop on there, knowing him.
Yeah, anyway.
They gave me some cookies while I was wrenching on it, so they're sponsored.
Nourishment counts as a sponsorship, right? But speaking of which, if you haven't yet, I know I've pestered everybody about it. Go to our YouTube channel. Nissan Podcast is it. Just posted a new video of our adventures at Windrock and hanging with our buddy Nestor, who we interviewed back in November, in his SAS truck and the highs and lows of that. You can also head to our website and buy a patch. I still have quite a few patches left, man. I need to do a count to see who's winning this patch race. Previously, it was Danny, and then I think Holden. I think you were coming up last, wasn't it? Last week we checked.
Yeah,
but not by much, not by a patch or so. And I encourage everybody, go buy a tan patch. Go buy the Holden tan, and help our buddy out. He's in this race we're doing. But also, I know Prime Days was a couple days ago. Damn it! But we missed it. But there's always time to support the show. So go to our website, Nissan Nation Podcast or Nissan Podcast, and click that Amazon banner and do your shopping. We get a small kickback from it. Costs you nothing to do it, and you can feel good about yourself. Whether you're buying cat litter or whatever, you can go, man, I helped the show. I helped the podcast today. These paper clips I bought are really going to put a smile on their face when they see that. So help us out, guys. We don't ask for much, and our listenership, I must say, since we've added Holden, I call it the Holden effect now. Our numbers have went nuts here lately, and thank you for all that. If you're
it's because I've actually forced my employees all to download the show and listen to it while they're at work.
Download. Your family must download it. We need downloads. No, but and I've seen like the listenership everywhere, but with Nissan, it's been real easy to promote the show recently with Nissan doing all these Titan builds and Overland builds and stuff. We're just happy to have you aboard. So if you haven't yet subscribed to the show, leave us some feedback on iTunes. It always helps us get up in the top of the charts so more people can find us. And if you do, Holden will give you the good deed nod. He's going to say, hey, I tip my cap to you. You've done all right. So Holden, anything else? Any other things we could sell somebody? Titans, patches. What else can we do?
I think we should have a fun little contest right here, right now, because we've done our commercials. Who's still listening? Is anyone still listening?
Yes.
So here's what we're gonna do. The first person to leave us a 5-star review and say, you gotta comment now. You gotta comment hashtag bring the Xterra back. I'll send you a Black Watch Customs patch.
And I'll double down on that. I'll send you your choice of a Nissan Nation patch. So that's like
it's a little teaser for next time. You got to through all the commercials for the big announcements. Maybe
that's right. So the first person we see that hits that old comment button, you've got one from me and one from Holden coming your way.
Yep, 5-star review and hashtag bring the Xterra back.
That's right. Or what was the one we were doing? I would buy that or something like that.
Yeah. Either's acceptable. I would buy that or bring the Xterra back.
Oh, and one last thing, man. Go to our Instagram page, and I posted on our Facebook page as well. My little fun thing I did with the Jurassic Park thing with Nissan that was quite interesting, man. It's been one of our biggest things. I've been quite surprised how many likes we've got on Instagram for this thing, but you got to go to Nissan Nation Podcast and check it out. That's all I can say. And any other socials we got. I'm trying to find more social media to be on. I mean, Lord knows I only have a full-time job. Holden's got a full-time job, and we keep adding more Instagram pages to our repertoire.
That was a big word.
Hey, I don't only kiss French, I speak it. Holden's like, what am I doing? What kind of show am I doing here? But, well, till next time, I want to say thank you to everybody that helps out, from JR that does some of the music, my beautiful wife Kelly who does the intro, and we got a new intro coming too, Holden. Episode 100. It's coming. Oh, one more thing. I teased it a while back. We're doing a contest. We haven't figured out how we're doing the contest just yet, but for you and a Nissan buddy, to host the Nissan Nation podcast. So Danny hates the idea. I think, Holden, were you on team somebody else hosts the show for a night?
On team idea is good. Let's let someone else host this show.
That's right.
The only thing I would want to do, can we all Skype call it and us just be completely on mute and just watch their faces as they're trying to figure out the next thing to talk about, and the whole awkward no you go.
What was it? There was something you said all the time your first couple times doing the show. I forget what it was. It was always funny. And me and Danny at first, like, the quiet, like, you think you got to fill airspace all the time. And sometimes the most interesting thing is when you just pause for a minute and take a breath. You can pause but I'll be glad to hear these people go. And the Nissan and the Xterra and so we haven't just figured out how we're going to do this contest just yet, but it's for 2 people or 3, I guess. But they have to be Nissan. I don't want some GM fanboy or a Jeep guy that's just going to be like, "Yo, bro, your Xterra sucks. Jeep for life, bro." So, but we'll bring that up. I'm really thinking, somewhere in the 80s episodes when that's going to happen, and we're getting close to that. So, if you have ideas on how we can do this, hit us up at Nissan Nation Podcast on gmail.com and or on Facebook. So from everybody here at the Nissan Nation Podcast, from Holden over there, who's barely staying awake, to my buddy Danny, who's probably battling 2 girls and a little boy right now, I want to say thank you for everybody listening. Subscribe, and share the show. And this is the Nissan Nation Podcast. And what are we holding?
Out.
Peace, everybody. Love y'all.